My name is Gu Rao. I'm with Portworx. What is Portworx? Portworx is a software-defined storage overlay. So I'm going to kind of describe that with this slide. When you install Portworx in a Kubernetes environment, there's a Portworx agent that runs on every node. Its job is to virtualize the physical storage resources that are available to it. So I'm going to talk about why you're doing this, but essentially what it does is once you have Portworx installed in your Kubernetes cluster, whenever you deploy a stateful application, you have a persistent volume claim. If it's coming from Portworx, these virtual volumes are bound to a particular container, and they're available anywhere in the cluster. So why do you run a storage overlay? So like Storage OS or Portworx or Rook. The reason you're virtualizing the storage infrastructure is because first of all, you don't want to have a direct one-to-one relationship between the hardware asset, the physical storage that you have, and the containers that are consuming them. Some good points that were made in the security panel as well, why you wouldn't want to do this. Essentially, the benefits that you get from having a storage virtualization layer is you get to, you have a difference between the number of applications you're running and the actual physical resources that you have available to it. A very specific example is if you're running in Amazon and you have EBS, you're using EBS volumes, you may be running thousands of containers, and the last thing you want to do is allocate thousands of EBS volumes that way. So the density is a lot higher. You're running a lot more applications. Other really, the immediate problem that you're going to run into, and I think we've been talking about this throughout the day, is the availability. So you want these volumes to be available on any node in your cluster, whether you're running in the cloud or on-prem. You have probably different data centers. So you want these volumes to be available anywhere the container runs. In other words, you don't want to pin a container to a certain node. The other thing is that your applications are not just one container, right? So typically an application, especially a cloud-native application, like in this example I'm talking about Cassandra, it's at minimum you'll have 3 containers. So when you provision storage to your application, you're not provisioning storage to one container, you're provisioning storage to 3 different containers. So any kind of volume lifecycle management that you want to do for your application needs to take into consideration the overall application scope. Go past this. We talked a lot about CSI. Portworx leverages CSI to deliver all of the value that we're talking about. I'd like you to, if you can, please go to our doc site, docs.portworx.com. If you go, there's a link there to a number of different Catacoded tutorials. We've spent a lot of time trying to create elaborate Catacoded tutorials, so please try it out. It's a live environment. If you haven't used Catacoded before, it actually, you don't have to stay with the script. You can break out of the script and try your own experiments. You can see how you can run complex applications. Good example, my favorite is the Postgres example, where we actually induced day 2 failures. I think there were some talks earlier today that talked about day 2 operations. I have another minute and a half, so I want to actually talk about a multi-cloud workflows here. So again, go to the Catacoded site to try out all those examples, but today's theme, and I think in this KubeCon in general, you'll see a lot of discussions around hybrid cloud and multi-cloud workflows. I know Bassam and Aaron talked a lot about multi and hybrid cloud. So I want to do a quick demo. So in this case, what I have is on the right-hand side, I'm running a Kubernetes cluster on-prem, and it's running in a virtualized environment. So just basically single master, 3 nodes. So let me expand this. In this example, I have a Postgres PVC bound to a single Postgres deployment. Just execute into the Postgres application over here, and I have about 5 million records. So when you install Portworx, another thing gets deployed, which is called Stork, which is a storage orchestrator for Kubernetes. What I can do is basically get my cluster pair, and I will cut over to my GKE cluster and pair my GKE cluster with my on-prem cluster. And now what this lets me do is I can now use Stork to start a migration of my Postgres database. It will take a snapshot of Postgres. And if I go over to my GKE cluster, I can see that Postgres has been migrated. I'll basically execute into the Postgres database. Not only do I have the data, I also have the PVC, and my entire database is in tech, and that's it.
Wow.
So, yeah, please come and visit us at the booth.
I did not think he was going to get through that. That was courageous. A demo in your lightning talk and slides. That was, I can't believe you actually got that in the time.